Hello there, and welcome to Camo Net Supremacy, a YouTube channel that focuses on Armory Forger and the competitive community for the game. I am your host, Bambi Sandy, and this is our third team-based interview in a long series for the competitive community, hopefully long. If you represent a team in the competitive community, or you believe that you'd be a good candidate for an interview, you can join our Discord through the link in the description and reach out that way. The aim of the Discord is to have a space outside of a specific tournament host or a team for the community to interact with one another. We're planning on hosting a series of debates about the game and the scene through there. We take pride in supporting honest and critical opinions with both the game and the scene as a whole. So if you'd like to participate in pushing the competitive culture for the game in a positive direction, please do join. Now, we have been told that we aren't allowed to reach out to teams that are participating in ARCL Season 2 for research, which would definitely include stuff like kind of general polling and demographics building. We're also going to assume that reaching out to teams for interviews to boost the visibility of each team would be included in that mandate. So if you're a fan of our content and want to participate in pushing competitive culture for the game in a positive direction, please join our Discord again. The Discord is intended for anyone participating in the scene at any level and should serve as a nice backup tool in case of an emergency. That way, if you wake up to find that your team is disintegrated overnight, you can rely on this unbiased space to reach out for another one. Camo Net Supremacy is a collective media project slash community for the scene and won't ever host its own tournament. Again, the link at the link in the description isn't a proper link that you can just click on. I've gotten a couple of questions about that. YouTube has like an age requirement for your account before you can embed links in your description, so you just have to copy and paste that discord.gg link into Discord proper in the join server section. It's probably good to note that this interview and the upcoming one with 63E have already been scheduled, so it doesn't seem like it's improper to just continue with what we already have on the docket. We're just gonna kind of take, interviews scheduling past that as we aren't allowed to reach out to people. Our content doesn't feature crazy overlays or editing purposefully. So aside from technical issues and bits on the front and back end of the recordings, we leave everything in the middle for transparency, including all the really annoying lip smacking that I do and the pauses that everyone loves. This episode, getting into it, features Hammer of Dawn and Serrated Alarm with GSA. If you guys don't mind alternating, can you give us a general explanation of who you are and how you ended up in the Reforger competitive community?
All right. So I first entered probably around when ARCL first started. I was part of a group called Gray Shadow Actual, but we actually used to call it Goon Squad Actual for shits and giggles because we thought it was going to be like a small friend group kind of thing. And then we decided to rebrand as Gray Shadow Actual. I was like one of the 8 people that founded Gray Shadow Actual. I wasn't really the one that made the server, but I was there from start to today. So that's more or less my backstory. I'm just one of the OGs.
And then I joined right after. So right after, like a month after GSA started.
Nice. And then your guys' group kind of originated with PvP or competitive in mind. There's a lot of groups that kind of started off as like milsim kind of private event, 30 people on a server fighting AI, PvE sort of roleplay ish, and then they made their own public server, and now they're kind of dipping their toe into the PvP kind of side. Not the case for you guys?
No,
Not
we
quite.
were PvP, purely PvP, but we were just a bunch of assholes just hanging out. We were just seeing how much we could break the game engine, honestly,
All right.
with
Yeah,
all our
I,
shenanigans.
I don't see that as a negative. I know kind of the niche take person so far that has somewhat of a voice, but that's kind of what competitive stereotypically is. It's like just a group of guys that kind of get together and they enjoy playing the game together and they decide to take that in like a substantive direction. Yeah, even though it seems like the number of teams that are participating in ARCL have three, fully popped public servers a day and they do all these events on the side, and this is just maybe like 5% of what they do. I think that there's some real tenacity and something pure about like, no, this is just, we just really enjoy PvP and like that kind of scale for the game. So, not a negative there. If anyone's looking for a group that doesn't have 13 different directions to move in and just wants to do PvP, maybe give these guys a look. So, if one of you guys or both of you guys could kind of go into the general history of the group or the team, a lot of people kind of originated with playing with other people, and then uh, some groups are kind of worse off with that, where it's like, well, back in 1985, we started playing as four people, and then the group turned into 200, and then over the next 30 years, we fractured 7 times. So, not necessarily expecting something super long like that, but
Yeah, I mean, I can start. So
Yeah, go for it.
I was the one that was there in the first place before Sarita joined. So pretty much we used to play on a server called Unnamed, and it was like a pretty popular server back in the day, but the leadership was kind of toxic. But we really liked hanging out. Like I dumped so many hours on Unnamed, and then one day, like I was probably only 3 months in the Armor Forger on Unnamed, and then there was this one guy. I remember this vividly. Spawned at Mob to go modify a kit, and this guy named Supply Guy says, "Hey, I need a gunner for a Cobra." I'm like, "All right, I'm here at Mob. I'll hop in." And I hopped into Cobra. He complimented me on being a really good gunner, and then we started hanging out for like a couple months, and then we made a bunch of friends along the way. We kind of became like a group of 8 that would play on the server all the time. And then what pretty much happened is leadership just kept fucking over Supply for no reason, just because he kind of mentioned a server, like he was just gonna make one, and we were just like, you know what, fuck it. So we took about 2 admins with us, and then the rest of them were players, and then we created Goon Squad Actual. And we were just like, fuck it. It's like we like hanging out with each other. Let's make a whole server just for us. And so that was kind of like the origin of the servers. Like we were more or less just 8 dudes that just kind of wanted to have fun, but leadership was being corrupt. And we have like a whole nether spiel. Like you remember that lawsuit thing, Serrated? I think you were there for that.
Somewhat.
Yeah, so pretty much, long story short, Unnamed kind of threatened us with a lawsuit for making a different server, which, I mean, honestly, I can't make a joke out of that. It's just funny as fuck. But pretty much, we started building up the server. At first, it was just a server we dicked off on. It was just like something to play with the boys. Like we'd play like a lot of mini games and shit, and do PvP runs. Like we'd do kill houses, like last man standing, zombies, you know. And then the server just randomly started blowing up slowly, like throughout the months. We were like, holy fucking shit. Like, I still remember when we first hit our 50 player mark. I remember that. That was like fucking amazing. When we hit 50 and 70 players rated. You
Yeah,
remember
on
that? I think it was
Takistan.
1.6. Yeah, Takistan. So, and then 1.5, I think it was 1.4, wasn't it? That wiped. That was like the nuke.
Yeah, 1.4 was good. 1.6 was where it really messed everything up.
Yeah, 1.6 murdered our server, so we had to start from scratch. and then we built up again. So during this period, like post 1.6, we were just like, you know what? Since we're starting over, we could change things up, and we decided to make a pub stomp group. Since the server pop was so low, we would just decide to like go to random servers and just work as a team and just pub stomp and hang out. And then one day, Supply drags me and Serrated into a voice call. It's like, hey, you're gonna be hosting a competitive team now. I'm like, what? The fuck you mean competitive team? And from there, Supply just said, hey, there's a new thing called the Armor Reforger Competitive League. I'm like, oh, that's fucking sick. So it's like esports, like CSGO. And I was like, cool. So that's kind of how we got into the competitive scene. We got kind of voluntold, but it was willingly, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, I would
So
just offer
kinda
kind of from my experience that I mean, it's more of a military saying, I guess, but the best leaders tend to be the ones that don't elect themselves into positions of power. The best people end up, and typically the most creative people end up being the ones that kind of get told or suggested, like, hey, you're pretty good at all these aspects, and people seem to enjoy playing with you. You know, we've got this thing that, you know, we're trying to do, but we need people to fill these positions and kind of make these call outs or these kind of mid match, because that's effectively what being a squad lead or whatever the fuck you want to call higher roles, like the commander role or whatever it is. Yeah, it's really just kind of getting people that are already good at their aspect of the game to just kind of work in a particular area, or you know, looking at the map and going like, I don't think we can kind of be here anymore. Let's move over to this area. So a lot of those a lot of people that do well with that correlates with people that didn't like, I'm going to start a group and I'm going to set myself as the guy in charge. It's usually not those people. What would you guys say is kind of appealing about, you know, PvP specifically? You know, you're talking a lot about, and it's hit me with like old vibes and memories from back when I was kind of getting started. Um, but you're talking about like, you know, seeding your server and doing like little impromptu like one man stand events and stuff like that. So what kind of speaks to you or drives you with PvP? Is it an enjoyment of kind of seeing how you stack up against other people, or is it kind of the challenge?
I would
I
say
mean,
everyone has a different way of playing the game and things differently. So every person is a different challenge. Every time you see someone new, uh, knowing how they're going to do something isn't an ability, except for with Hammer and I, we've been playing for together for so long that I don't
yeah, we have a
really
telepathic link. It's fucking creepy. Like
knowing
we'll
what
be driving a
he will
Brad,
do.
silent for like 20 minutes, and not a single call out, but we'll be like top fraggers. Like not a single call out. We just know. It's fucking weird.
It's kind of weird.
Same if we go against each other, we both know how we think. It's like, oh yeah, Serrated would definitely do that, and I'd immediately intercept them. It'd be like a coin flip of who kills who.
Nice. Yeah, there's something about that vibe and energy that I haven't really seen from or felt really, I guess, from like all the season one match videos that I had watched or some of the teams that I've kind of communicated with. And a bit of that kind of circles back to like, it kind of seems like so far a lot of people, they're already doing 9 other events throughout the year. What's like one or two more? Yeah, sure, we'll do the competitive thing. But you talk to those people and you don't really feel like the organic drive there. It's just kind of like an, you know, why not? Whatever, who cares? And you can kind of tell that, like, if they're mid-matched, kind of set with a challenge or a, you know, a consequence, you know, they're gonna kind of not falter necessarily, but they're the people that are going to kind of be on the back foot because they're not already, they have to put themselves into a different mindset if they can even get there for the match that they're not organically kind of feeling. And I kind of feel that organic vibe from you guys. Not that I'm trying to glaze super hard. For your guys' team, not the community at large, but like the people that are actually on the roster, where are majority of the players kind of from? A lot of North American teams end up being, one or two UK guys, and then everyone else is kind of in the US. Where are you guys sitting with that?
That's basically us as well.
Same thing. Yeah.
Okay,
I think
nothing
we
wrong with
have
that.
3 UK guys.
And then one Polish man, the
Oh
Polish
yeah,
man.
the
Can't
Polish
forget
man.
about McLovin.
It's important. I mentioned once before, I think, in a podcast episode that European players end up being like the soul of competitive, regardless of whether anyone else wants to or not. There's just something about like ordinary kind of European cultures from whatever country the person's from, and like work life balance just being better. Those people seem to take to competitive as a hobby in a different way that like we just kind of don't as North Americans. So having at least like one or two kind of Euro or UK people on your team always ends up really, really working out. Those people are always the people that like see that you're playing and they'll hop in and like, well, I wasn't really feeling like playing Reforger, but it's good to hang out with other people. You just, it's funny too. I don't mean to sidetrack the interview, but like numbers, getting people to sign up, hey, we got to get 20 people to sign up for this match on Saturday, otherwise we can't play it. Getting those 20 people to sign up is always kind of a struggle. Never a struggle with those EU or European players. It's always just like, well,
Yeah,
I could go out and drink with my friends.
yeah. We have one European guy. He will stay up till 8 a.m. to make sure he sits in.
Yeah, that's
Oh
good
yeah, I
shit.
know exactly who you're talking about.
K2.
Let's recruit Onion.
And
Oh
then,
no.
how
That
did
was
you
an inside
guys
joke.
Oh, you're good. How did you guys find or hear about ARCL? Did you see like a YouTube video or an announcement in a Discord or something?
That was fully through supply.
Yeah, we
Gaia.
were
So he
literally
he
pulled
probably just
aside.
was in the right Discord and saw a notification.
Yeah, we were just pulled into a VC and like that pub stomp group we were talking about, like post 1.6. And pretty much we're just like, you're competitive leads now. There's something called the
Yeah.
ARCL. I'm like, what? The
He
fuck are you talking
he
about?
sent us the Discord link and said they're
There you
doing
go. You're
competitive.
leaders now. I'm like, okay. Like there was no due process. We were literally just leaders from that day forward, more or less.
Gaia. Where obviously you guys have your own server, but if you guys, kind of play on a like everyone seems to say TTT. I I'm not hating on TTT. Every time I play there, it's too Arma 3 wastelandy for me. I'm an infantry guy, so I just end up sitting on an objective and like everyone else is in tanks and vehicles and helicopters, and I'm like, all right, well, this is moving too quick for me. There's too much going on. Everyone seems to say TTT, but if you guys don't play on your own server, where do you guys kind of find yourself?
Usually OGR and We the People is like the most common ones, I think.
That and then Field of Regard is a vanilla plus that I like to play on.
Nice, nice. Yeah, every time I see a vanilla plus server, I want to love it, but like I'm at a little bit of an extremist on both ends of the spectrum on at any given day or time. So like none of them really scratch quite the itch that I'm ever looking
It's
for.
that one is essentially just vanilla with kill feed.
Yeah, yeah. So like little quality of life like admin features and
Yeah,
stuff.
that is literally
Yeah.
it. It's vanilla with a kill feed.
Yeah, yeah. That's not negative. That's not necessarily bad. Um are you guys, what's your guys' kind of scrimmage in the lead up to season 2 starting whenever that happens? Um have you guys scrimmaged much?
Not at all.
Uh, Not really.
We haven't done really any trainings or practices for season two, uh, mainly because they've been so lacking on their front.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So it's like,
as
yeah,
you were
what
kind
are
of
we
starting
playing
to,
for?
yeah, as you were kind of starting to answer that, I was like, well, the value of a scrimmage is in the lead up to a tournament, anyways, is explicitly like getting used to the weapons that you're going to be using or like the areas of the map and stuff like that. But if they haven't come out with any information on like, hey, it's going to be the east side of Everon, you can't even get used to playing in the region of the map that you're going to be set on. And the same thing with like gunplay or weapons. You can't really pick, what you need to, what kind of recoil you need to get used to and fire rates and like, well, the damage drop off's kind of rough with this gun and X, Y, and Z if there's no like, hey, we're gonna use these guns. So I suppose that might be a little bit of a shit question. I don't think there's any. Even if that stuff was kind of available, I would offer that some of the best teams in squad, they would just take complete organic breaks from the game. They would play like public matches and stuff here and there, I'm sure. But like, yeah, some of the top teams didn't do scrimmages. They would just sign up for the tournaments. All right, hey, that's going to start in 2 months, and then it was kind of, I suppose, on individuals to like not be shit at the game by the time the tournament started. But so not having kind of scrimmages um, coming out the wazoo in between, season one and season two isn't necessarily a negative. Um, what are you guys signed up for the 10v10s or the 20v20s?
We're on 20v20 this season.
Nice. Um, I think 20v20 is going to be a good size. Everything in squad was 36v36, and like for some of the maps, it was just a little rough.
It's
Shout
a
out
little
to anyone
chaotic.
that's listening. Shout out to anyone that's listening that played on Balea with 36v36, because that just lots of dead downtime in between. It's just too big of a map
Oh,
for
okay.
that kind of player count. But I think 20v20 is going to be fine if they kind of section off like Everon the right way.
Arland,
Yeah,
another.
Arland
Well,
they said
it's
was going to be 10v10s.
Yeah, that's what sucks. I wish Arland was 20v20s too.
it's
It,
large enough.
yeah. Um, and then is there, any one particular thing that the team does really well or kind of specializes in? In squad, there were all kinds of teams that like this is gonna be a shit example because mortars fucking suck in Reforger, but there were all sorts of teams in squad that like knew they didn't have the raw shooting talent to like beat other teams on that level. So they would just go all in on like how quick once the match starts can we throw down mortar tubes and then throw rounds in a relevant direction. And that was like their thing. So is there any kind of one thing that you guys say that you do really well, like armor?
It's
I think it's
we're kind of a smorgasbord, really. We have certain people because they're very good at certain things.
yeah, we're highly adaptable. I think that's our superpower. Like if you're highly aggressive, we're highly defensive and we'll flank you. If you're being highly defensive, we know how to break your lines. Like we can be flexible. I think that's our superpower. Is just sheer flexibility. Like be able to work around whatever our opponent's throwing at us. Like we'll
Nice,
switch up tactics completely from the original tactic we were going with.
nice. And then the fun section. Did you guys play in season one of ARCL? Yeah, because I originally put this question down because you're looking at even just I only watched like 6 or 7 of the recordings from season one. But just from sort of like you watch 4 match sessions, you're like, oh, a repeated team name, so there must not be, 40 teams that are in season one, right? So I had noticed that most of the, or a majority of the people that were signed up for season two didn't play in season one. So did you guys play in season one? And then how was that?
We did play season one. It was a clusterfuck, to put it lightly, because I don't know. Like the admins did not get along with each other, and they could not make up their minds sticking to the rules, and they kept starting like a perfect example is like okay, so they had a rule where if the match restarted before the halfway point, it was a complete restart or reschedule.
So the server that they were running it on was crashing constantly. So if it happened before that second hour, it was a full restart. That's what he's getting at. That didn't happen every time. It would crash, and then they would just kind of just disregard their rule, which was written down, and just keep the game going.
Interesting. That doesn't sound very cash money. Yeah, and some of the I after I put down the question, one of the things that I noticed from watching the recordings from season 1 was there's very obviously like a big change halfway through regarding vehicles, right? Because the first set of matches that I had watched, I tried to do it even. So I started with 4. It was like 2 20v20 matches and then 2 10v10s. And then there was very obviously a point in the mix there. It's hard to tell like which videos were chronologically like first or whatever, but there's very obviously like a restriction that was needed for the vehicles because they were pretty fucking overpowered. Um, so obviously like something didn't really work out all that well there. Like something either wasn't thought out or like there was a come to Jesus moment where like, hey, this isn't fucking working. We got to do something
That
about
was
this.
that's another part of the admins not agreeing with each other.
Yeah.
There were
Because the thing is, they wouldn't tell us the updates. They would literally tell us mid fucking match. It was awful. Like, do you remember? Sorry, do you remember when they just like a day beforehand they said GLTVs are fine, and then they banned them like the moment
then
we like
yeah.
actually logged in. Like all GLTVs, not even
So
like unarmed. Like I think unarmed GLTVs
before a
were
match,
fine.
they have you join like an hour and a half before, so you can make your kits, and everyone kind of just hangs out. And then they will reset the server, and every time there was changes between the the hangout period and the actual game period. So you would have mod updates between them, which mods should be locked if you're having situations like that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too cash money.
Um, and that led to a couple instances where they had to redo games. One of them being with Dad's Army, and I don't remember what team it was, but one of the teams, which would be Dad's Army, had a gun that was entirely silent.
Yeah, that's my kind of apprehension on using WCS and RHS weapons. It's a big part of why I'm actually more in favor of like vanilla or vanilla plus kind of servers that don't have just
Yeah.
crazy because there's no balancing. You know, if they go through after the fact, like for season 2, not that I'm talking shit, but I highly doubt they will. And they go through and they go in and they're like, all right, all of these AR-15 like rifles that people are going to be able to use, they all have to have the same damage values and the same. I think that what they're going to go through and do. Someone had made the comment. Someone with a staff role at some point. I don't know what the kind of what that really means at any given time because anyone can say the wrong thing and then get removed as a staff member. But that's an inside joke. The they'll go through and they'll remove absolutely heinous options, for instance, but something will always slip through the cracks, if you don't go like individually and say like, hey, no, there can't be a 30 round one hit kill sniper rifle. Or like one of the first questions that I had asked because kind of my time, I know I'm hijacking the interview again, but sort of my timeline for getting introduced to like ARCL and stuff was I saw I saw an initial recording. I'd actually Googled, Arma Competitive League, and then only through that was I able to find like Tactical Gaming's match recordings. I was like, oh shit, this is real. And then I joined the Discord, and then I watched the matches, and then I went to the Discord to ask like staff questions. One of the first questions that I asked was like, hey, do you guys have any like role restrictions or anything? Because the two things that I had noticed was, obviously WCS and like RHS vehicles and weapons were allowed in the first matches that I had watched. And then everyone was playing with the same like big ass fucking sniper rifle on their back with a suppressor, big fucking like light machine gun or like an AR in their hands. Like the ARs and all the light machine guns were like 2 or 3 hit kills, and they all had a fire rate of like mini guns. I'm like, what? What do we really? What does this measure? I don't.
That was the RSAS. It has
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
made single fire this season.
Even then, though, like, is there a limit to how fast it'll accept a tap? You know, like, I'm not the best
It's
gamer in the world. I can tap pretty quick.
Yeah.
oh no, the tapping is limited. You can only shoot it so fast. Like it caps out.
I
Okay.
can test that right now.
I was gonna say, like, if it's not, bang, 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 and it's quicker than that,
It's more like
basically no
bing,
change.
bing, 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 bing. That's as fast as you can go. Bing,
Uh,
bing, 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 bing. Maybe
I
I'm
not.
have
But
a auto clicker that's set to every 15 milliseconds. I will
you have
test
an
it
auto
right now.
clicker.
Yeah,
see
for GM stuff.
See, my issue with that would come from like then give it a 5 round magazine, you know? Like if it's gonna be a 2 hit kill, like a consistent through body armor and everything 2 hit kill, then just make it so you have to reload the thing more often. Is it a sniper rifle or is it a rifle? Oh, it's a sniper rifle. All
Yes,
right, okay. So you can't clear
it
compounds with
is.
it.
Yes. that's, that's the problem with that gun. It's yes. It's the all gun.
Yeah, I at some point if there's an opportunity, every now and then I kind of like spike little questions their way and send them YouTube videos and stuff. But like I think that competitive, good, engaging competitive, just the game in general, because competitive's kind of an offshoot of what you're playing, right? Should be all about trade-offs and consequences, right? Like again, not to hijack the interview, people have heard this opinion before, so hopefully it's not new. But like, the reality is you should only have one main weapon. That's it. And then if you kill someone that has like a cool Shaytak or like a sniper rifle, because that's a situation, yep, like Gogland was the map for season one, right? If you kill someone that's on the outskirts of the cliff of that circle the middle of the objective and you've got like a submachine gun, you should be able to take that guy's sniper rifle, get a couple of kills with it real quick, maybe go back to your original gun, drop the sniper rifle on the ground and keep it moving. I think that, and then if you got the trade-off with that, or the consequence of that, is if someone sneaks up behind you, you've got a fucking bolt-action sniper rifle. You can't really, you're not on even footing, but you set yourself up for that. You know what I mean? Where if you kind of, even if they're not incredibly overpowered guns, you shouldn't be able to have a fucking sniper rifle and a light machine gun combo. What are we doing? You just don't want any depth. Okay, guy. And part of that is like, should really only be like 1 or 2 big fucking sniper rifles per team. That's a sniper role that someone elected into. They trained for that. They're really good at working the scope and stuff. There's only like one AT guy that's allowed per squad, because then if the AT guy isn't on the objective, everyone else is fucked and you're like, "Hey dude, you need to spawn in and get here." But you just don't have that if everyone can be everything all the time.
Uh,
Yeah, usually
Minor
how we.
update on the RSAS. It does not. It is not effective by the single fire. It fires just as fast with an auto clicker as it does an full auto.
All
No
right. See,
fucking way.
yeah. So
Oh my
so what
god.
are we doing?
Okay, well that's new news. They're great.
Yeah. And to be fair, like unless you really, it's easy for me to judge. I'm kind of speaking into existence this joke that I'm like the grandpa, and simultaneously, what do I know? Even though seemingly everything that I say is turning true. Where I'm kind of cynical, and I'm like I've seen this before. Like this is just gonna happen. It's all good. That is one of those things that just like takes a moment to get burned, and you're like, all right, we were wrong on that. Sorry about that. Um, moving on to the next question. I know everyone just loves my story times. Um, did you guys, even though obviously you played in season one, Did you guys also go through and watch match recordings of like other teams that were kind of playing?
Oh yeah, we studied them.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's good to see that that happens in this game too. All right, good. We would have watch parties where like two or three teams, like because it was 36v36s, you're talking like 70 people in a fucking Discord channel, and we would go through and we would restrict down, like everyone could watch the recording and kind of be there at the same time, but only like the team leads or the squad leads for each team, maybe 10, 15 people in the entire channel could talk. And then, one person was given kind of because they were streaming it, right, was given the power to stop the recordings. And we would go through and like analyze, like, oh shit, you pause the recording. I don't even understand why they're putting their spawn there. They don't even have the skill near, what they need to maintain that area. And then we'd, plus play again and we watch a little bit. Oh shit, he fucking won that trade. That was crazy. And so good to see that that culture kind of carries through to this game as well. It's fucking, if you're only basing from a team perspective on like what you do right and what you do wrong based only on what you've got going on, there's 20 other teams that are playing on the same map, this week. So like that's 20 opportunities just this week that you can see like, oh man, I totally would have done that and that did not work out. I gotta, lessons to learn. Yeah, if you're walking down the street and you see some guy get shit on by a pigeon, you're like, I should probably I should probably avoid that area in the future. I guess there is like lots of lights and stuff for pigeons to sit on there. Anyways, um, Oh, I doubled up on that question. That's unfortunate.
SR25 is the same, not affected.
Oh my god, can
Ugh.
we just do vanilla plus for the ARCL?
I feel like that would be the best way to rock the game, right? You'd need like quality of life
Honestly, I've played all
improvements, but like
modern
it should just be the vanilla game or the vanilla weapons, like time to kill and the recoil values and stuff. Like
It's already
should really
vanilla,
just
but
straight up
still,
be AKs and M4s.
I'd be down for that, honestly.
Pistols bracket
But
win.
you
I
know how
keep
many people are gonna throw a bitch fit because I can't use my RSS. Where is the RSS?
pistols
Use my
bracket win.
R25.
There's an I don't want to advertise for myself. That doesn't mean anything. No one read into that. But the reality of the situation is that you should like just mirror for competitive at the least. If you want to play with the RSS, cool. Like we're gonna add it in to a specific mod pack, and it's gonna have the exact same damage values and recoil as the M14. So like you can cosmetically play with the gun that you think looks sick, but you don't get an advantage out of it. Same thing with the AR-15s. Like, and then there's a separate conversation to make about like, well, the vanilla guns aren't really fucking balanced either. Like, the fact that with the AK you don't even have to aim down sights. If you throw tracers in the gun, you can just laser beam anything at like 500 meters. Like, it's probably not great either, but yeah, at the very least, put things in line with where they are with the vanilla game. At some point, someone will see the value in that. Specifically for, ARCL Season 2, do you guys have anything that you're looking forward to?
Not being as much of a clusterfuck as season 1, honestly.
It's already in that way though.
I'm hoping it's the opposite of season 1. That's it.
For me,
It
from
seems like they got it more organized, but at the same time they had a lot of staff leave, so it's maybe.
yeah,
Especially some head honchos too. We've lost some head honchos over there.
the from an outside in looking perspective, I think that for as much as I dislike the lighting and like the general terrain of Everon, I think that it's gonna work out better than Gogland did. There was just kind of all the way in the opposite. Usually I complain about Everon just being like everything's in the bowl or on the side of a hill. They like designed the map first and made it look real and then went, oh shit, right, we have to like make this a playable game. So they're like, fucking throw that in right there. I don't know, so people have space to build or something. But I actually think that that might work out to a degree with freedom of movement, because with Gogland, you kind of had the narrow pacing issues and choke points that like Kolgev had, where like, if you put a guy 100 feet from a road, he kind of just controls half the map, because the map is only actually like 600 meters wide, you know? Um, I think that Evron will be kind of a nice change of pace from that. So if you're struggling with attacking an objective from a particular area, you should have really great incentives to like really wrap around and completely negate that and avoid that and kind of start fresh. I think that that was really hard with Gogland, because like for that center objective where it was kind of in the bowl of cliffs, he had made the comment a couple of times of like, well, you probably shouldn't, after your 10th time of attacking the objective on the south side, because that's where your team's coming from, maybe don't try to attack it on the south side. But that's actually kind of fucking hard if you look back on the matches, because all the enemy team does on the north side is put some people in the trees to the east, and then what? You're gonna fucking you're gonna walk on the beach on the east coast to get around those guys. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. You're not gonna do that. So map wise, I think
Right.
everyone's going to work out to a certain
Yeah, that's
degree.
why we hated Gogland a lot, is because if you didn't capture Fishbowl first, it was over. Like, genuinely. Like, if you weren't the first ones to capture that point, it was almost an 80% guaranteed victory for whoever got it. And that's why we
Yeah,
really hated Gogland,
That's why we would
because it was
rush.
like certainty of winning if you got that center point and you held it. Like, if you got like 20 minutes to build, it's over. Like, that's it. If you got 20 minutes of like supplies and building up the base, nothing you can do, even with mortars, because there's too much cover and they took away building destruction mid-season when we played. So,
And then they added it back.
and then they added it back after we lost.
yeah, I'm not a fan in general. Hopefully for season three they work in something different. Tickets, please. That doesn't solely rely on map play. I went into it um, shameless shill for the last Cabinet podcast episode that came out, episode 9. But if you make the match all about map control, you disenfranchise like 90% of what else is going on, right? The saboteur that you sent to the back lines, is he keeping the enemy from taking the middle objective? No, he's not. So what the fuck are you doing? Or like all of that play, even that happened around the center objective, like that farm, all that cliff stuff and like all the gunplay that's on the outskirts of the cliff. None of that contributes to putting a body on the objective right now, so none of it fucking matters. And then two, like you could shit the bed because they're mandatory 2-hour matches. You could shit the bed for an hour and 50 minutes and then just push all 20 of your guys onto the middle objective and capture it, and you won. Like I don't think that's really, that doesn't meant. So I really hope at some point, however the fuck they want to do it, however they want to justify it, I hope they go to a ticket system, because then that gives everything inherent value. Where like, yeah, you didn't take the middle objective, but you schwacked those guys every time they took a foot past those cliffs. And because of that, because you got triple the kills, your team fucking won. Like, uh,
I
hopefully
think there
they
should be
step
different
away from
ways to
just
win
map
ARCL.
control.
Yeah. I wish there was like different ways to win ARCL, but I could see why they kind of went with that method of like whoever has the most wins. But I feel like it should not be like so central. Like Goglin was a literal embodiment of that. That's why we hated the map, because it didn't matter how good or bad you were. All that matters, did you contest a point or not? That's all that mattered. Like, that's really what it came down to. It there was no saboteur, there was no setting up ambushes, there was no like, we had like one or two people doing logistics the entire game just to keep us running the center, and that was it. That was the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it really kind of looked, at least from watching the matches, it looked like a perfect storm of like everything that you kind of don't want the competitive to be. There's all sniper rifles and long distances and fucking people just waiting for like the next wave to come in because you know that the enemy has to come to you. So like if you're controlling the middle objective, there's literally no incentive to push to the next objective past because you're controlling the only thing that you need to control for the rest of the game. You don't gain
Exactly.
tickets. You don't if you capture the next base. So like, and then because of that, because everything's super long distance, and because the middle objective, you could see every angle of what was on the objective from the cliffs. Really, really fun. Got outskilled there. You shot the guy with the one hit kill sniper rifle and probably didn't even have to adjust for windage or anything. It's real skill right there. Right. Yeah. Yep. And I that it's really interesting. Hopefully there are more people that are kind of introspective. I don't give a fuck if they're part of the ARCL staff, just people in the community in general that can really kind of go back and think like what exactly makes that look weird and feel weird, because hopefully people would arrive on like everyone had a scope, everyone had a sniper scope even if you were running an AR-15 because the LPVOs are so good in the game. Most people had two hit kill weapons, so there was never an opportunity to like react if you started getting shot at from behind or something. I'm not saying it needs to feel like the Division where it takes 10 rounds to kill someone, but it should be more than one or two, you know. And then
Yeah.
two, like
I mean,
what you chose Gogland, okay. Are you going to add anything to the map to like make it play better? Maybe some walls around that area so you have to push in. You can make throw in some boulders, make some of the grass taller. Like there's all sorts of stuff that you can do as a from a staffing perspective or from like a map design perspective of like, hey, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, the map's going to be Everon, but like there are huge issues and pacing issues with this section of the map that we want to play on. Hopefully just someone at some point goes, kind of doesn't seem like we're learning a whole lot from here to here. But uh, is there anything specific with ARCL in the future? Not season two, but just after in general. Um, no real time scale or spectrum that you would like to see. I always give the joke example of seems crazy. Obviously, season one happened like in January or the summer, not summer, winter, and then this is happening, basically in the fall. So this year there happened to be two brackets. They've said that they only want to do one a year. I would like to see, okay, there's one real bracket a year. Do a pistols bracket in like the spring or something, just to keep people engaged and like have fun.
I would love to see a pistols bracket.
oh yeah.
Likewise, if the tournament, outside of balancing away from overpowered vehicles and helicopters and stuff like that, if the bracket proper is armor and helicopters to drop people off in tree lines and stuff, maybe do a bracket that's just rifles, or like we said earlier, like the vanilla only bracket or whatever. If you kind of know that you're the only game in town, take advantage of that. If you're one of 7 tournament hosts, then it's probably not viable to have 7 different events because that might conflict with tournaments that other people properly want to play in and stuff. But if you're the only kind of thing that's happening, go through and make reasons for people to like. If the tournament only happens once a year and it happens in summer, what the fuck do teams do in the winter? Like there's nothing to engage people there. Yeah, you could scrimmage for the fucking tournament 6 months away, 5 months away. No one's going to do that, right? But you have a tournament in the spring, and then summer is kind of a little bit of time off. And then you've got one in the fall, and like it just balances that way. There's 4 seasons. Crazy. Who would have thunk? But I would kind of offer that as an example as well. And then my last question, the best question: do you guys prefer the game vanilla or modded, and why?
Vanilla.
I was not expecting that from you. It depends because some of the mods are really good quality of life style. I don't care for the vehicles. Don't they don't they don't need to be in the game, honestly.
Man after
The
my
reason
own
I said
heart.
vanilla so fast is because so many people like get hyper reliant on modded vehicles. Like to give you context, I am the RPG guy.
That's very
Serrated
true.
can back me up on this, like of GSA. And I've killed so many fucking Abrams, Bradleys,
Helicopters,
JLTVs, helicopters with an RPG.
a regular 7 Slim.
Yeah, good old 7 Slim. Good good old PG7 VM. But
Alrighty.
like my biggest criticism is like some of those vehicles fuck the natural balancing of the game. I really hated it because like for example, like you remember Serrated when 1.7 came out where we could first play FIA and that was like some of the most fun we had on our server.
But it was still slightly broken.
But it was slightly broken, but it was still really fun as fuck when we played FIA.
Yeah, I
Not
wish it
only
was
that,
still there.
yeah, I know, but you know, now you have to deal with an Abrams with fucking 1970s technology, you know?
Yeah, it's funny that you kind of mentioned that. So, like, again, hijacking this into story time, but I started playing computer games. So I was like a PlayStation person before, just played Call of Duty and whatever the fuck. And then when I was in high school, got my first computer and all that stuff and spiraled out of control. So my first PC game was DayZ, and then I moved to Arma 3. And that was the issue that I had with a lot of like the King of the Hill servers and the different mods and stuff that you would have. Because like you dump incredible amounts of time into the game. I've always just kind of naturally preferred like gunfighting over helicopters or armor or whatever. You can get really good at those King of the Hill servers. That doesn't save you from the tank that snipes you from 7 miles away because the render distance for the vehicle is higher than you can literally see on the server as an infantry guy, and it has thermals. So, like, that guy didn't actually know that you were in the tower. He just saw your heat signature, like, clip through a window for a second. So he lobbed around. I. So, funny. I agree with you guys for basically that reason or that positioning, which is like it's kind of how I feel on TTT. Again, I'm not talking shit about TTT, but like, you know, a quarter of each team is in a fucking vehicle that takes like 5 RPGs to kill. What's my role kind of value? There is none. There is none. You're just disenfranchised. If you're not in a rocket helicopter or you're in a fucking vehicle, you're like, what the? Yeah. So, same page. I tend to like vanilla or vanilla plus as well for that reason. Even though vanilla has tons of quality of life issues and tons of inherent imbalance as well, my experience with modded servers so far is just like, oh, okay, well, we don't like the experience for the vanilla game, so we're just gonna throw a bunch of shit in and let people do whatever the fuck they want. There's like, if you don't like the balancing for the vanilla game, maybe the sensible response is like, okay, well, let's add some balance to the game. But that doesn't seem to be the move.
It becomes instead of balancing, you just add more and more things, and then you're trying to balance those, and it's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
like you remember those police vests that can take 4 anti-material rounds
Yeah,
from the OSV? I remember that. It was just pretty much just modded chest piece. It was a police chest plate, and it was fucking ridiculous.
it
To give you
was in
some
the
reference, it
ARCL
took half a
for a minute,
magazine from an SR-25 armor-piercing drum mag
so that's
to
25
kill
rounds.
somebody. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like you were practically invincible if you got shot in the chest. It did not matter. We even used a fucking vehicle 50 cal, and it took 4 shots to the chest from an API round. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Humvee, man. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, there's shit like that. And, I know on vanilla, I don't have to deal with that bullshit. I don't have to deal with the fucking Cuck Lord fucking 4,000 meters up in an Apache with thermals. I'm not calling out a particular person at all, am I, Serrated?
Oh, yeah. Not again.
You know who. You know him.
All right. Well, that is going to be the end of the interview. Thanks for sitting down, guys, and little bit longer of recording than the other ones that we've done so far, but it's never negative if you're gelling well and you've got lots to talk about. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Hopefully, we can do this again once the season starts and we get in the game.
Yeah.
If I'm allowed to reach out to teams, just a nice little toxicity stinger there at the end.